you, Judge. Ms. DeLauro?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could just follow up on my colleague, Congresswoman Meng's questions. I have here, this is the order on the settlement, the $1.8 billion. And then this is the addendum to the order, which is about tax immunity. And this is a copy of the settlement agreement. And the Associate Attorney General signed this. These two documents were signed by yourself. Now, this is all in writing. This is all. Can you tell us here today that you are going to disavow this, that you're going to rescind what you said to Ms. Meng in writing with these efforts? These three documents are in writing. Is that a yes or a no?
So I can't answer that yes or no. Do you want an answer?
Yeah.
Okay, so not yes or no. You gave me three documents. The only document I said we're not moving forward on today is the first document identified, which is the anti-weaponization fund. There's still a settlement agreement, and there's still the second document I signed is not an addendum; it's a separate Attorney General order.
Okay. Okay. So, but you're not going to rescind the addendum, not an addendum, the second order?
No,
the only thing you're talking about here, so the blanket immunity is not something that you're going to move back on?
It's not blanket immunity. That's not true.
It is.
No, it's not.
Read it.
Okay. United States releases, waives, acquits, and forever discharges each of the plaintiffs from and is hereby forever barred and precluded from prosecuting or pursuing any and all claims, counterclaims, causes of actions, appeals, requests for any reliefs. I mean, this is an order from you, but you're not prepared. You are prepared to say that the president and his family will be barred, are immune from. That's a yes.
No, it was not a yes. I had not answered the question. I can't answer if you want me to.
What are you doing with this?
Okay, so there was a settlement, which is one of the documents you showed. Okay.
Right.
Part of the settlement included the second order that you just held up.
Right.
And that is still, nothing has changed with that. What I said today, what I've said a couple times today, as what we talked about yesterday, is we're not moving forward with the anti-weaponization fund.
Okay, but you are moving forward with this second order.
It's not moving forward. There's a settlement. There was a settlement that the IRS entered into with President Trump and others, his family and his companies. As part of that settlement, as is customary in IRS settlements, there's a separate AG order.
Friends, listen to what is being said here today here. This is really pretty extraordinary, that we are going to forever barred and precluded from examining or prosecuting the president, his sons, and the Trump organization's current tax filings. Simply put, you just gave the president and his family a tax immunity to the tune of about $100 million.
Not true.
Well, yes, you have, my friend.
No, it's not true.
You know, look, and I just want to say this. The Save America paid you nearly $10 million between March of 2024 and December of 2024 to serve as the President Trump's personal defense attorney. My God, don't you not find there's any conflict of interest in what you are doing here as the acting Attorney General of the United States?
I didn't. What are you saying is a conflict? I don't understand what you're saying.
Listen.
The fact that I used to have a job and I have a current job?
You know, I've got less time left, but I take. I'm going to reclaim my time because I think you have clearly answered where you're going on what you're doing on this. Is that you've taken one piece and you said, okay, we have had a ton of backlash on this on this $1.8 billion slush fund. However, so we'll not move on that, but as part of the settlement, which you've said, which is this immunity for the president and his family and his business, et cetera, That stands. Thank you for
It's
that.
not immunity, ma'am. It's
thank you.
It's a
Thank
promise.
you. It's immunity.
It's not immunity. It's not immunity. Okay, so it's not immunity. What it says is like any time the IRS settles with an individual taxpayer or another company as part of the settlement, it's standard. It's typical to get rid of past ongoing audits. It's not a forward-looking document. It's nothing that gives any sort of immunity in the future to the president or his family or his organizations. And so by you saying that, it's not true.
By you saying what you've said, it is not true. So thank you, and I yield back.
What you just watched is the part of the hearing Congresswoman DeLauro came to force into the record. Not a question about policy, not a theoretical debate about legal frameworks. She walked into that room holding 3 physical documents: the settlement order, what she called an addendum, and the settlement agreement itself, and she put them on the table one at a time. The question she was asking was not complicated. She was asking the acting Attorney General of the United States to tell the committee on the record whether he was going to rescind what those documents say. He could not answer yes or no. Read that exchange carefully. She did not ask him whether the documents were valid. She did not ask him to interpret them. She asked whether he was going to rescind them. That is a binary question about future action, and Blanche told the committee that the question could not be answered yes or no. That answer, not the documents, not the legal characterization, but the refusal to give a yes or no answer to a binary question, is the first thing the transcript permanently contains. Here is what the documents actually say. The first document is the Anti-Weaponization Fund, the $1.8 billion fund that has drawn sustained criticism. Blanche told the committee that fund is not moving forward. He said that plainly. The second document is what DeLauro called the addendum, and what Blanche insisted is a separate Attorney General order. The third is the settlement agreement itself. Blanche confirmed the settlement stands. He confirmed the second order stands. The only thing he walked back is the fund. DeLauro read the specific language from the second order into the record. The United States releases, waives, acquits, and forever discharges each of the plaintiffs from and is hereby forever barred and precluded from prosecuting or pursuing any and all claims, counterclaims, causes of action, appeals, requests for any relief. She called that blanket immunity. Blanche said it is not immunity. She said, read it. He said it is standard in IRS settlements, that when the IRS settles with an individual taxpayer or company, it is typical to resolve past and ongoing audits as part of the agreement, and that the order is not forward-looking. It does not give immunity in the future. That is the precise disagreement this hearing produced, and it is worth examining both positions with equal seriousness. Two things can be true at the same time. The language DeLauro read into the record is real. The words forever barred and precluded from prosecuting appear in the document. If that language applies to the president, his family, and the Trump organization, then whatever one calls it, immunity, a release, a settlement term, it means the United States government has agreed not to pursue certain claims against them. That is a significant legal commitment, and calling it standard does not make it less significant. The question of whether that commitment was appropriate, given that Blanche himself was paid nearly $10 million by the Save America PAC to serve as Trump's personal defense attorney between March and December of 2024, is a question the committee was entitled to press. Both of those are reasonable positions. What DeLauro was asking, however, was not about semantics. It was about accountability. She was asking the person who signed those documents whether he would, having heard the committee's concerns, reverse the decision he made. Blanche's answer was that the settlement stands, the second order stands, and the only thing not moving forward is the fund. He could have said the settlement terms were appropriate, standard, and legally defensible, and I am prepared to defend every word of them on the merits. He did not say that. He parsed the documents. He distinguished between the fund and the order. He insisted the order is not immunity, while declining to explain what the language forever barred and precluded from prosecuting means if it is not immunity. That is the move of someone who understands that the words in those documents carry more weight than the word he is using to describe them. DeLauro then named the conflict directly. She put into the record that between March and December of 2024, the Save America PAC paid Blanche nearly $10 million to serve as Donald Trump's personal defense attorney. She asked whether he did not find any conflict of interest in what he was now doing as acting attorney general, signing documents that release his former client, that former client's family, and that former client's business organizations from federal prosecution. Blanche said he did not understand what she was saying. He said the fact that he used to have a job and now has a current job is not a conflict. Read that response carefully. He characterized the question as being about career transitions. She characterized it as being about a lawyer who was paid $10 million by a political organization to defend a man and who is now running the federal agency whose job includes deciding whether to prosecute that man. Those are not the same question. The most overlooked part of this exchange is what DeLauro did not do. She did not claim the settlement was illegal. She did not claim Blanche committed a crime. She held up the documents. She read the language. She named the payment. She asked whether he saw a conflict. And she let his answer stand next to the documents without further commentary. That is the move of someone who understands that the record is more durable than the argument. The transcript now contains every document DeLauro placed into the record. It contains the language forever barred and precluded from prosecuting, read aloud into a congressional hearing. It contains Blanche's confirmation that the second order stands. It contains his characterization of that order as standard IRS settlement practice. It contains the $10 million figure. It contains his answer to the conflict of interest question. It contains the word immunity, used by DeLauro, disputed by Blanche, and unresolved when the exchange ended. Blanche could have said, the language in that order is standard to every IRS settlement of this type, and I am prepared to show the committee 30 comparable settlements with identical terms. He did not say that. He said, it is not immunity. He said, it is not true. He said, the order is not forward-looking. None of those are the same as demonstrating, with evidence, that comparable language appears in routine IRS settlements involving parties unrelated to the president. That absence is in the record, too. Those words travel into the confirmation hearing. They travel into the Florida court proceeding, currently examining the conduct underlying this settlement. They travel into the question of what the Department of Justice has committed the United States government not to do, and whether that commitment is distinguishable from what any independent observer would call immunity. They travel into the $10 million figure and every future examination of whether the person who signed the order had a conflict of interest that should have disqualified him from doing so. So was Congresswoman DeLauro conducting legitimate oversight, placing on the record specific documents, specific language, and a specific financial relationship that raises a genuine conflict of interest question about the man who signed those documents? Or was she using technical legal language she knew would be disputed to produce a political moment, characterizing standard settlement practice as corruption in order to damage a confirmation she was going to oppose regardless? Was Blanche defending a legally standard settlement agreement, one in which the language she described as immunity is routine practice in IRS resolutions signed by an official who maintains there is no operative conflict between his former private practice and his current public role? Or was he using the word standard to obscure a commitment that, whatever it is called, means the United States government will not pursue the president, his family, or his business organizations for past tax conduct signed by the man those organizations paid $10 million to protect? Two different stories. Same hearing, same official record. Tell me in the comments which version you walked away believing. If you stayed this long, subscribe. The Florida court is still examining what produced these documents, and the words in them do not change based on what anyone calls them.